Well, what is going on, everybody? Hopefully you're having yourself a fantastic day. Welcome back to Kitchen Table TCG. Welcome back to Game Grove. We have new tables and chairs. So stoked about that. Thank you to everybody who supports the channel, to the patrons, and to those who shop at gamegrove.gg to make videos like this possible and the store like this possible. You guys rock. Today, we're going to be talking about Troll and Toad, discontinuing Magic the Gathering product and purchasing of singles in 2024. I'm going to walk through it. Most of you probably already know about it. I'm going to give you a little bit of the background about it, and then I'm going to chat with my thoughts. I'm going to give you how I view this as a game store owner when a large store like this says they're closing up shop with that. I'm actually processing through another pretty large Magic collection buy video. I actually just picked up some cool Pokemon cards. So we do a lot of this, and I think there's a lot to discuss. And I think while everybody has their own opinions, it's good to hear a bunch of other different ones. So thanks for being here. Obviously, Troll and Toad has been around since 1994, since the beginning of Magic the Gathering and the .com boom of the world, and Web 2, where everybody went to e-commerce. They were kind of one of the first online Magic the Gathering stores. And so after 30 years, they are now saying, hey, we are no longer buying sealed Magic the Gathering product from, basically from distributors. I don't know if they have like a direct deal or whatever, but they're not buying any more product to sell. And they're going to be focusing just on the other games. And they're also no longer going to be buy listing cards and selling singles on their website. They actually, post this announcement, came out and did a 12% off sale on their website. So yeah, crazy. A lot of deals we had there. And they quoted quite a few things. First off, I think that their way of handling this was very, very good. I think if you're a business and you have people who have store credit and you have people who have a relationship with you and a history with you, this was a really, really good way to handle this, in my opinion. They came out and they said what they're doing in 3 months. And they announced to all their consumers, hey, we're not going to have Magic. And essentially, if you had store credit or whatever looming over them, you have your opportunity to spend it now before they don't carry that product. So I thought that was really good. And the owner really seemed to be somebody who loves Magic the Gathering, and was talking about this sadly. Like, you could tell this hurt to come out and say. But they basically quoted a couple things: decreased profitability, which we've talked about on this channel, that selling Magic product, particularly online, is basically impossible to make money with. It's very, very difficult. Even oftentimes when you buy stuff from my website, after paying like the 3% credit card fees and then also shipping to California, like the profits are stupid. It's not worth running a business for. And so they quoted that. They also quoted challenges in like pricing with all the different variants and the different whatever, and figuring out the healthy price point for all the cards of new sets. And then they also quoted the Magic 30 stuff and the reserve lists, not wanting to sink money into the reserve list. So those were the things they quoted. You know it now. Let's talk about my thoughts on this. I think one of the biggest question marks for me in the last 5 years with Magic the Gathering is a shift in market demand to these other games. And I'm not necessarily talking about indie TCGs like taking market share from Magic. That has certainly happened on a more high level gameplay side. On a low level gameplay side, though, casual Magic is way healthier than it's ever been. There are more people playing Magic the Gathering now than I think ever in the history of Magic the Gathering. I think that is one thing that we don't give Wizards enough credit for. There are more people engaging with Magic the Gathering now than before. That's my belief. The problem is not the lack of engagement. It's Wizards taking so much of the profit from the local game stores. That's kind of the bigger issue. But I have seen a lot of the economic shift with this, where it's not necessarily a lack of demand for the product. It's more of a increased profitability on the other product. So like Pokemon's demand has gone up, and 5 years ago, you couldn't run a business with Pokemon. That couldn't be the main focus of your business, but now it can be. Now Pokemon is, in my opinion, more popular than Magic the Gathering. I believe that Pokemon sells more individual packs total than Magic the Gathering does. Tell me what you think about that. And so you can run a business online, and you see this all the time with Pokemon and whatever. And then also locally, when people come in, people are looking for Pokemon. It's changed. The dynamic between Magic and Pokemon in the last 5 to 10 years has really changed. And so I think that's a big conversation point with this. And how does Magic grow from that is marketing. And Magic is doing a terrible job at marketing. If you compare, Pokemon has Netflix series and they have movies every now and then, and they have Burger King toys, and they have McDonald's, you open up the pack they do so much marketing to grow their younger audience and so the market economics and shift from Pokemon away from Magic to, it just has shifted a lot. And so I think that's a big deal. And for a business that is doing so much online sales and to have the profit margin and the pre-order volume that I'm sure they are seeing with Pokemon on the back end of this, when they look at Magic, they just must be like, why are we doing this still? Like, it's not worth the time. It's not worth the risk level for Magic is so high. Look at Commander Masters. They have increased the risk level so significantly high with Magic that it doesn't make sense for a large business to risk so much money compared to these other games that are available for them. So that's one of the big things, is that shift in the popularity and the market dichotomy. The second thing that I think really we've talked about a lot on this channel too is the reprint stuff, reprint equity. Now, I think that Magic gets a little bit of a bad rep for this that might not be entirely appropriate. This is a hard one. When they when Magic reprints things, they do so oftentimes in such high capacity levels. So like a Mana Crypt in Ixalan. Now, I don't know the exact pull rates, but they're reprinting a high value card, but they're not putting it in as a rare that's going to tank the value to $20. They're putting it in what I think, I guess we don't know the exact pull rates of the Mana Crypt, but it's going to be so hard to pull, and in products that's so expensive to pull it in, that it's not going to decrease the value significantly over the long run. So as a store, compared to Troll and Toad, I don't see a ton of fear in buying singles. Now, Troll and Toad is doing a different singles model than what I do. I buy singles and I sell them not just in store, but like on TCG Player, the marketplace. Troll and Toad is waiting for you to go to their website to buy their card. And so I don't know what the number of customers on TCG Player versus Troll and Toad is. I would guess that the sales velocity of a high-end single like that, for me, if I need to sell it at TCG low, would move much quicker than for Troll and Toad. Now, I'm paying 15% in fees or whatever it is, but for me, there's less risk. Again, this comes back to this risk idea. There is less risk for me to buy singles as somebody who has a very active TCG Player, website, whatever. The risk level is much lower for me than it is for Troll and Toad. And so for the regular non-reserved list singles, I guess it makes sense for them. But as a store owner, I'm just not that worried about that. I'm not sitting on 55 Mana Crypts here. I think I had one Mana Crypt and I just kept it in my shelf. I didn't even put it on TCG Player because frankly, like having a Mana Crypt is good for the store in the like local community for people to see it. And so like, I just don't see the risk level of Magic singles of buying collections at, let's say I buy a collection at 45, 50% in cash or, 60% in store credit. I don't see that risk because I turn over those cards so quickly. And I don't know what Troll and Toad's turnover ratio was. My guess says that they're waiting for their own ecosystem and customers to pick up things rather than being on a marketplace like TCG Player. And so as a store owner, that doesn't worry me. I think Magic gets a little bit of a negative rep because of that. I do think reprints are good. I think that we need we need cards to be accessible, but hold on, don't get upset. I'm all for cards being valuable. And I do think things like putting, it wasn't Cyclonic, right? Was it Rhystic Study? I don't know, one of the cards that was in, it was like in Commander Masters and Wild Eldraine. Oh, it was Doubling Season, right? It's in both of those sets back to back. That's way too far. Like, we don't need that. Like, I think there's a balance, and Wizards often oversteps the balance on specific cards. But in a whole vacuum of Magic the Gathering, I think that they have added value to other cards. I mean, fetch lands is another thing. They've completely tanked the value of fetch lands. But in those products, they have also created value, like Ragavan, right? They have created value on other cards that add to the ecosystem. So it's a little difficult to hammer down perfectly. I just think as a risk level for store, Troll and Toad had a higher risk level than maybe a typical LGS does. So the last thing I want to talk about is the 30th anniversary reserve list thing. I think that I come from a different perspective because I wasn't buying reserve list cards in the middle of the pandemic. My guess is, I didn't do a whole lot of research on this, but I'm guessing that Troll and Toad acquired a lot of cards at the high pandemic level pricing, and now they're looking at those cards, seeing how far they've come or how far they've fallen, and that provides a lot of negativity to their bottom line. And so they're cutting their losses now. This announcement is getting them so much publicity and conversation that they will be able to sell through a lot of their inventory as a result of this announcement that they are not doing this anymore, right? And so this could be a way to cut out their losses right now and reset their inventory and add a good bit of cash flow to their systems, of which they can then turn into profit on other games, like they're saying. And so my gut says, from my perspective, this seems like a really good time to buy. And I have had I have had people reaching out to me like crazy to buy their collections. And I am still buying because I feel like the prices are down from 2 years ago. And I think they will find their balance between 2019 and now. And I do believe that Magic is still doing well on a long enough timeline. So I think that this, for me, for my view of what they're doing, is more of a cutting losses and using it to extend some hype. Now, I want to say a couple things. The timeline of this is kind of wild to me. I don't understand why they didn't do this like at Magic 30th release. Maybe it just takes so long for a company that big to make a decision like this. But if it was really because of Magic 30th and the reprints and being afraid of Magic 30th, I kind of feel like they would have done it, 6 months ago when everybody was upset about Magic 30th. So there's this part of me that feels like, does Troll and Toad know something that we don't know? Like, are they aware of another reprint that's coming? I don't know. But for me, I'm not worried about Magic 30 scenario for Magic again. I don't know why. I don't know why. I get it. I understand why other people are. Magic 30 didn't tank the price of any cards that I thought it would. Like, it didn't take the Volcanic Island. Magic 30 is not the. I thought I had a Volcanic Island here. A Volcanic Island. Magic 30 didn't tank the price of Volcanic Island. It didn't, because Wizard priced Magic 30 so ridiculously that it couldn't even come close to affecting the price of the cards, because they printed like 6 cards. And so I just go back to this idea that, like, I get it, we're upset, but like, the end of the day, it's been a year. It didn't do what we thought it was going to do. I'm not saying that I don't want them to do it again. Heck no. But like, I think it's safe to buy cards. So I don't know. That's my perspective on things. I think at the end of the day, the last thing I want to say is, as quickly as Troll and Toad can say, we are done with Magic the Gathering, Troll and Toad can say, we are starting Magic and Gathering again. And I think when you look at the larger like world of this whole thing, there will be a time, if Magic turns their ship around, where Troll and Toad will just be right back buying cards, and that won't be that big of a deal. Nobody will be talking about that, making a video about it, and saying Magic's dropping because of it, because like, it will be the positive news. And so don't get bought into the cycle. If you like this stuff, figure it out and take a risk on it. There's somebody here with a package. I gotta get that. So at the end of the day, I think remember that one store doing something could be the best opportunity for that store, but it doesn't necessarily dictate the complete environment of the game. And if you believe in this stuff, if you love the cards, I do think we're getting to the timeline where things are worth picking up, especially if you can get them at a good price and a price that you're comfortable with and that you think is appropriate. That's all I got for you guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Remember to be kind to the people around you. We'll see you again next video.